if you love manifesting like I do, and you've done everything someone like Neville Goddard has taught you, like living in the end or feeling it real or entering a state, you've probably visualized, you've done the affirmations, you've done all the scripting, and unfortunately your life still looks the same. And if that's you, I want you to stay right here, because I absolutely know this is one of the most important lessons that I can give you about manifesting. And later in the video, I'm going to show you exactly why Neville Goddard's methods can work brilliantly for some people, without a shadow of a doubt, and barely move the needle for others. But first, we need to expose the mechanism that he pointed to, but he never really explained. So it's part of the picture, but it's certainly nowhere near the whole picture. And so let's get right into it and understand the gap that everyone is missing. And it's about the idea of what a state is. And Neville Goddard talked a lot about states, and so do other manifesting teachers. So people think a state is like a feeling, an internal scene, or an affirmation. But those aren't states. They're symptoms of states, products of states, if you like. And the real problem is this. You can do these exercises, and anyone can feel wealthy for 20 minutes if they're trying to manifest money. But they can still operate in their life as somebody who expects to struggle with money. Everyone can visualize a lovely relationship and still identify deeply as somebody who is unlovable. So think of these two things. Feelings are like paint, and states are like the wall that you put the paint on. You can paint over everything all the time, but actually you've still got the same wall underneath. You've still got the same structure, and that's where people fall down. They're using techniques that never touch the mechanism, the wall, if you like, that actually produces their reality, that holds up their reality. And so hold on to that idea, because I'm going to show you exactly the mechanism directly. And when you see it, I promise you, everything you struggled with will begin to make sense. So Neville called a state an attitude of mind, and he said you kind of move through them like we walk in our houses through rooms, which is lovely imagery, very poetic, but it's not really enough detail to make consistent results. Otherwise, everybody would be doing it. So let's have a precise definition of what you're missing. So a state is in fact your entire internal architecture of identity, the entire thing. It's not a mood, it's not a thought or an assumption. They're like the paint on top of the wall. A state is the system, and it's built from belief architecture, like what you consider normal for you. It's unique. Your emotional baseline. Not feelings, but your kind of real deep feeling frequency. Identity, like who you think yourself to be in the world, and expectation, what's going to happen to you. And then habits, how you actually process the world and operate within it. And these pieces interlock, and together they form a psychic, energetic, and emotional reality pattern. And that pattern is actually what manifests. So your visualizations, they don't manifest. Affirmations, they don't manifest either. Temporary feelings, they don't manifest at all. Your identity architecture, that's what manifests. That's what creates enough energy to pull it into your reality. And until that shifts, nothing can change. Now, in a minute, I'm going to show you the exact rule that determines when a state, an internal state, becomes physically dominant, i.e. it manifests in physical reality. And so let's take a really good example, make it painfully clear if you like, and I hope this is simple, that somebody who does something like SATs, which is a Neville Goddard process of kind of thinking they're changing state just before sleep, they kind of see a scene internally, they feel it, and then they fall asleep on it, maybe trying to manifest money. But the next day, that person wakes up, they check their bank account with anxiety, they're hoping that more money comes in, they're worrying if a bill's going to drop through the floor. So they felt great at night, but the next day something changes. And it's because these techniques create temporary feelings. Their identity architecture never moved at all. Think of it like a perfect GPS navigation technique. The map is still locked into the old destination. The technique, SAT, is like a car. The inner state is the coordinates. And it can feel beautiful and amazing to raise your vibration and do these great things, but you end up in exactly the same place that you've always been. Because here's the mechanism that Neville described, but he never broke down, which is a new state manifests only when its inner weight, the weight of its entirety, outweighs a current one. Your current identity has emotional momentum, emotional weight, i.e. to what feels normal. it has gravity in terms of identity, weight, who you've been, your beliefs, your memories, your beliefs, what you think is true. And unless the new identity outweighs the old identity, the old state, the world always defaults back. So remember the word weight. It's a key, and that's a really easy way for us to all get our heads around it. So here's the rule that's been running all our lives, all along, completely unconsciously, which is that a state becomes physically active here only when its inner weight overtakes the old state. So don't make it mystical, let's just make it structural. Imagine that your current state has a 200-pound weight. Your visualizations that you do have got a 10-pound weight. Which one's going to dominate every single time? Well, it's the heavier one. It's one with more psychic, emotional weight. So manifesting isn't about fighting thoughts. You're actually working with a system, a multidimensional identity system of beliefs and memories, emotional tones, expectations, feelings, desires, self-perception. And when the system shifts, the whole system shifts, then reality snaps into that new pattern. It can't help it. And this is why Neville's techniques sometimes work beautifully, because they do touch on it. And it's not usually because the technique actually did it, but because the technique accidentally triggered some identity shift somewhere, mostly unconscious. And the problem is that most people don't know what a state is. They never reach the depth they're trying to manifest and change their identity, because they're trying to escape themselves all the time rather than change their state. This is the missing mechanism that makes the law of attraction precise, predictable, and repeatable, because that's what we want. This is why these ideas, we have to get into them, talk about them and explore them so that we really know exactly how they work. And if you put any questions in the comments, I will answer them. Now, for sure, Neville has given a map. He showed that the ideas around belief and state and consciousness, he didn't prove that consciousness creates reality, but it does, and that's where we need to go. He also didn't teach how to recognize when a state is actually more dominant, or how to dissolve old identity residue from the past, how to prevent old patterns from pulling us back, how to stabilize a brand new identity, or how to shift without effort, ritual, or strain to make manifesting consciously effortless. There's a gap there. And this is what I've been teaching for decades: consciousness repatterning, how to change the architecture of your identity, how to move into that reality shift threshold and beyond it. Not to replace Neville, of course, but to finish practically a side of ideas that he began. And so when Neville says enter the state, I'm going to show you how to build a brand new one and how to make it stick, because this has to be practical for everybody. We don't want to be manifesting by accident. We want to be manifesting consciously. So here's the truth about manifesting. Manifesting actually never fails. It didn't fail because you didn't visualize well enough, or you didn't feel it strongly enough, or persist long enough with something. Manifesting fails always because the state never changed. And when you understand state mechanisms, and that's where you have to get to, you stop forcing visualization, stop chasing feelings and high vibes, you stop worrying about persistence and the nature of time, because none of that creates reality. The key is that identity does, structure does, inner weight does. You shift the weight, the reality reorganizes without resistance, effortlessly, just as it's doing now. Because it always has and it always will. And you have the power to change your state, to change the weight of your belief system, your ideas. And so that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it was useful for you. Please do comment in the comments any questions at all, any feedback, and I answer every single comment. If you want to come with me and you want to walk through these shifting your own state coherently, consciously, deliberately, and get more in touch with the actual processes behind everything that you've heard today, that's what I teach free of charge in the Conscious Creation Academy, which is a free school group, and the link will be in the description. And if you're struggling with your beliefs, struggling to manifest what you want, and you want a powerful tool, a powerful system to break through those unconscious beliefs that hold your identity in jail, then do check out the Ultimate Belief Breakthrough Program. And if you need to manifest some money, the same systems apply, but they're uniquely this system about money, which is called the Manifest Money Fast System. And remember that a technique never manifests anything. A state does, a change of state does. And when your inner weight shifts to that new state and you can hold it, stabilize it, then reality has no choice but to manifest what you want. And that's how you can create anything that you want in this reality. I hope you enjoyed that video, and I will see you on the next one. Take care.